This story of us is about two people from not only different lifestyles, but from different countries whose worlds collided over a randomly thrown drumstick. Sylvie was a beautiful model from France. When she was a child, her parents divorced and her mother remarried 4 times. All her life, Sundays were just a horrible reminder of transitioning from one life to another. If it wasn't the handoff from parent to parent, it was some transition that left her feeling sad and alone. Even as she battled her way through such tough times, she tried to be positive. She was tall, blonde, and beautiful, so it was no surprise when she took up modeling. She used to work for all the major designers doing showroom and runway modeling. In 1986, it was modeling that brought her to America. She was living in New York, and like most models those days, she was rooming with other aspiring models. But instead of the camaraderie you would expect, they were mean and treated her horribly. She hated it. One day, as she was waiting to be called at a Christian Dior photo shoot, she asked one of the models, who was actually nice to her, if she knew anyone looking for a roommate. She said yes, picked up the phone, and called Marco. Sylvie moved in that week to an apartment at 84th and East End. Marco ended up being not only a great roommate, but also a great friend to Sylvie, and introduced her to the love of her life. Mark had grown up in New Jersey and was living in a town not far from where he grew up. He had a job as a mailman, but on the weekends, Mark was a rock star. He was the bass player in Marco's band. He was very handsome, and like most rockers back then, he had long hair and wore a leather jacket with no shirt underneath. Some even said he resembled David Hasselhoff from Baywatch. One fateful day, Sylvie was returning to their apartment after a horrible weekend at a beach resort in New Jersey. Her so-called friend who drove her home had shown her true colors that weekend. She was nasty and spiteful, and the whole weekend had Sylvie so upset. The convertible car with its top down stopped, and Sylvie could not even wait to open the door to get out. In her tight black dress, she hopped right out of the car over the side. At that time, Marco's band was loading their equipment into their cars to go play a gig. Mark, who was pushing his gear, witnessed Sylvie's dramatic exit from the car, which, in turn, was the dramatic entrance into his life. His jaw dropped in awe. He asked Marco, "Who is that?" And Marco replied proudly, "That's my roommate." It was love at first sight for Mark. That night, Marco knew that Sylvie was upset about her weekend and convinced her to come see his band. She was not into the band scene and preferred dance clubs with music from DJs, but reluctantly agreed. Sylvie got a drink at the bar and settled in at a table right in front of the band. She was no one to sit and watch. She was a spitfire who loved to dance, but decided to lay low for the first set since they were playing mostly rock music. Even though he didn't miss a beat as he played, Mark could not take his eyes off her. Sylvie was no stranger to men staring at her. She usually ignored it since she really didn't care about what people thought. But for some reason, Mark staring at her intrigued her. The night went on, and Sylvie was talking to everyone in her heavy French accent. Mark was looking for an opportunity to talk to Sylvie, but for whatever reason, the confident rock star was having trouble. The drinks were flowing and the music was rocking out. Sylvie was holding her drink, dancing in front of the band. The drummer was finishing his drum solo. No one knows whether it was the alcohol, his sweat, or destiny, but the drummer's drumstick slipped out of his hand and landed on the floor right in front of Mark. Mark kicked it off the stage, and that drumstick flew through the air right to where Sylvie was sitting and knocked her full drink out of her hand and into the floor. She yelled in a heavy French accent, "Hey, my drink! You owe me a drink! Who is going to buy me another drink?" This was God answering Mark's prayers for an opportunity, and he took it. "I will." After the show, everyone was backstage. Some of the other guys' girlfriends were being mean to Sylvie. They were saying very loudly, "Who is she? Why is she talking funny?" Sylvie was a little disheartened, and Mark saw it. He stepped up immediately to her defense like a knight in shining armor. "Leave her alone. How many languages do you speak?" And the girls fell silent and slinked back into their chairs. Sylvie had already been intrigued with Mark, but now she was fascinated with this guy who stood up for her. Who was he? Was he for real? They talked all night long, and unfortunately, Mark had to return back to New Jersey where he lived. That did not stop them. They talked every day on the phone for 2 and sometimes 3 hours. One day, Marco said to Sylvie, "Let's go for the weekend to Mark's." And they did. It was an amazing weekend. On Sunday, when they were leaving and going back to the city, Sylvie felt her Sunday sadness return, just like it used to when she was a child. They continued to talk on the phone during the week for hours, and Sylvie spent every weekend with Mark in New Jersey. They both ached on Sundays when she had to go back to the city. Sunday sadness turned into Sunday sobs for her. She would cry every time she would get on the bus and watch him look down and kick the rocks as he walked away. Then one Sunday, Mark could not take it anymore. He said, "You are not going back. You are going to move in with me." Sylvie was overwhelmed with happiness, and the tears of sadness turned into tears of joy. She knew it would be a lot for her, but she didn't care. She would take the bus every day to New York City for work, 2 hours there and 2 hours back. A couple months later, Mark proposed at a picnic table on the Hudson River. They were married on August 4th, 1989, at a firehouse in a small New Jersey town where they were living and still live today. They didn't need much, only each other. No expensive designer wedding dress for this model. She wore a 2-piece white lace suit that she borrowed from the store where she was working. They had 12 people at their wedding, no catering, just a Grand Marnier, strawberry shortcake, and champagne. But it was good champagne. Tattinger. Usually $40 to $50 a bottle. You see, the universe sent them a present from France, and this expensive French champagne was priced wrong at the liquor store, and they got it for $13 a bottle. They have been happily married for 36 years now. They have 2 beautiful daughters. Just like any couple, they have had their share of good times and bad times. But Mark still looks at Sylvie with the same love and intensity as he did the day she jumped out of that car. They have moved a couple times, but ended up back in that small South Jersey town where they got married. They have made a beautiful home where they are very happy and intend on growing old together. When asked what their secret to a long, happy marriage is, and what advice to any young couples out there, Mark says, "You have to know which battles to fight." But Mark must be a lover, not a fighter, because Sylvie says it's because Mark always says, yes, honey," to anything she says.